Hey guys, welcome to another video by your favorite family member, Michael. In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about coding boot camps and answer the question, are they worth it in 2020? The short answer is yes, but continue to watch the video, let me explain why. In this video, I'm going to talk about my professional backstory, coding languages and frameworks I learned while at the bootcamp, why I chose to do a coding bootcamp, and then my bootcamp experience, career services from the bootcamp, my job hunt experience so far, about 3 to 4 weeks into that, and answer the question, are boot camps worth it? Alright, so here's a short summary of my backstory. I ended up doing sales for the last 3 to 4 years in my profession, and I was getting honestly quite tired of it. I really wanted to make more money, but I did not want to sacrifice my evenings or weekends to do that, and I wanted to be creative with my work as well. So I decided to look into coding boot camps because I did not want to spend the next 4 years getting a degree in computer science, and I'm just going to kind of tell you what I found and what I went through. Now before I jump into talking about the actual experience, I did do an extensive amount of research on different coding camps, and I ended up deciding on going to Coding Dojo. They have a few different campuses, but I chose the one that was near me. It was an in-person campus, and it did require about 50 to 70 hours a week. Now midway through the program, we did have to do school at home because of the virus. So let's jump into the coding languages and frameworks that I learned while at the bootcamp. First, of course, every coder probably learns is HTML and CSS, the styling and the basic, fundamentals of web fundamentals, essentially. I learned Python, JavaScript, jQuery, a little bit of jQuery, not too much. I learned C#, which I really enjoyed. And then also we did what's called the MERN stack, which was learning Mongo, Express, React, which React is kind of all the things now, and then Node as well as for the back end. Now, as far as frameworks and technologies go, I learned Django, which was with Python, ASP.NET, which was with C#, Unity, which I used with C# for Project Week, GitHub, which is just a tool to save your code and post it online and share it and collaborate with other developers, and then Postman, which is more used in the MERN stack to make sure our API was working, and then Visual Studio Code, which is our IDE that we ended up using and just using to write code in all the time. Why I chose a bootcamp? Here's my story. I started teaching myself code for 2 weeks. I created a Udemy account just like everyone else who wants to learn how to code. Bought a few courses to learn Python because I heard it was an easy first language to learn. I did 2 courses accumulating about 20 to 30 hours and found out I really enjoyed it. Now there are a few different types of people in this world who learn to code. Some people prefer to learn slowly and do it in their spare time. Others like to self-teach themselves through websites like Udemy or Free Code Camp. And others like myself want that classroom type of environment. I chose to go to the classroom type environment because I was finding myself very tired after work and it felt like a chore to learn code, and if I didn't put more than 20 hours a week into learning code, it would take me a year or more to feel adequate enough to even think about switching careers. I did not want to wait that long, plus I really asked myself, can I stay motivated long enough to really learn code and switch careers? Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about my bootcamp experience. In this section, I'm going to talk about information overload, the bootcamp mentality, the classroom environment, and then us switching to work at home or do schooling at home due to the virus, my personal challenges, costs of the boot camps, and career services from the boot camp. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Basically, you're getting a CS degree in 14 weeks, minus all the technical details, of course. Your mind's going to explode the first month or so. Just expect that. My coding boot camp lasted 14 weeks, so I had 3.5 months to become a developer and get my butt out there and find a job. The first 2 weeks, I was putting around 70 hours a week. I did this purposely to learn the fundamentals of coding. During that time, I learned about HTML, CSS, jQuery, and some JavaScript. Due to only having the program last 14 weeks, every day we got a crash course on all above languages I mentioned previously. And we also did algorithms in the morning for about 2 hours each day. After the first 3 weeks, I put in probably about 50 to 60 hours a week. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the classroom environment. It's the main reason I ended up picking this specific bootcamp. First of all, collaboration. So during Project Week, at the end of 3 weeks of every stack, there is a week where we do Project Week after we did our exams and whatnot. These are honestly my favorite times of the bootcamp. I absolutely love collaborating with people in general, and then to collaborate with people, other developers, to create a website / product. That was really fun. Having instructors there to help guide you but not give you the answer, I really wanted that. Again, it came back to that motivation thing and not being frustrated, but being, very excited to learn and grow as a developer. And then the boot camp really taught us to become really self-sufficient. A lot of Googling things, basically. If we didn't know the answer, we would Google stuff. On our exams specifically, they would not let you look at any lectures or anything, but you could look at your past work. You can look at the actual dashboard where you would learn stuff, and then you would also be able to Google things and work your way to be able to figure out and pass the exam. So about 4 weeks into the program, out of the 14 weeks, we unfortunately did switch to online schooling. I was quite frustrated with this because I chose to do this specific bootcamp because I wanted that in-person classroom experience. Now, the switch wasn't that bad, to be honest, because the school did a really good job setting up a virtual classroom type environment, so it felt close enough to an in-person environment without actually physically being there. A lot of students struggle with working at home. I myself did not have this issue, as I've worked at home with past sales jobs. Now we're going to talk about my personal challenges that I faced while doing the bootcamp. Right off the bat, I think everyone kind of felt this way, but having doubts. Can I really become a developer? Can I think logically? What if I don't pass my exams? You know, when it came to thinking logically and anything to do with math, I'm not a big fan of math, and I know that, you know, coding has some math involved. So I was a bit nervous if I could actually overcome that and become a strong developer, and I have. It's taken time, but I definitely have. Another thing was just not becoming frustrated, and the 20-minute rule. So this is something important that I really take value with me everywhere I go. Basically, the 20-minute rule is if you're doing something and you can't figure out the issue of what's going on for 20 minutes, then ask somebody about this. So that's kind of something or Google something, whatever it is that it might be. And then also I want to talk about my first exam experience. It was very, very emotional. Things seem to break when you're under pressure, and it's kind of frustrating. I did pass all my exams, but there was one or two that I did retake just one more time and passed with flying colors. But yeah, first exam was very stressful. I haven't done an exam in like 6 years or something like that because of being out of school and whatnot. But yeah, it was very emotional. I passed, but it was definitely ebb and flow of like going through the motions, because during the exam you have 5 hours to complete it and you can't talk to anybody. It's all by yourself. And so it was definitely very different than the actual experience at the classroom where you can ask your instructor questions and whatnot. And then also GitHub. Our first project when we did GitHub was very difficult to learn and use, but we put like 15 to 20 hours in learning how to use it, and I've obviously learned how to use that tool. You'll need to know that tool when going in the industry anyways. And then algorithms, of course, again, a little mathy sometimes, and just trying to develop that skill thinking logically was something that was a little bit challenging for me. But I think learning to think logically, I think, is a huge skill to have, even if you don't plan to do coding, but just kind of slowing down your thought process and going through what you're thinking about to what outcome you came to, right? And so that's kind of important. I think everyone should develop as well. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the cost of boot camps. Let's face it, boot camps are expensive. The price tag is usually between $13,000 to $35,000, depending on the length of the boot camp and where you're located. Now, when it goes to the higher end of that scale, from my research, it was boot camps that would guarantee you a job, but then you would have to pay like some of your salary to that specific boot camp for the next few years. Thankfully I'm married, and my wife and I made pretty decent money, and we are debt free, and we continue to stay on a strict budget. And so I was able to quit my job, pay for the boot camp up front, which they did give us a discount, so that was a nice benefit. But if you can't do that, boot camps do order a payment plan, just kind of like college would, where you just pay back over time. All right, so let's talk about career services. Some boot camps are a little different in this particular category. Some boot camps will guarantee you a job, but like I said, you pay a part of your salary back to the school over a few years. I was not interested in this method, and I did not want to go that route. At my camp, we had a dedicated career service department that helped put our resume together, made our LinkedIn look professional, told us what job websites to use, set up our GitHub profile, any technical questions that we wanted to ask them about interviews and how to interview and so on and so forth, they were there. And so they also let you work with them as much as you wanted. So if I wanted to work multiple times a week, I could. I just kind of stuck to about once a week, every week. So that was kind of my experience with career services. All right, so the question for all you men and women that you've been waiting for: are boot camps worth it in 2020? Well, I think coding boot camps are worth it if you have a desire to learn code, but you do not want to wait 4 years to get a computer science degree and you want to change careers. You don't believe you're motivated enough to learn code on your own. That was personally me. If you do have a computer science degree and you want to just learn new technologies and languages, hey, there's another reason to do a boot camp. If any of these reasons really resonate with you, I would recommend doing a boot camp. All right, so the last thing I'm going to talk about before closing this video is my job hunting experience so far. I'm going to be honest and say that the job hunting experience has been rough. As of making this video, I have applied to about 100 places and I have not received one email back where they want to move forward with an interview. Two of my other cohort mates, one has received 2 interviews and the other one has received 1 interview. I'm going to assume the timing of me ending the boot camp and the virus happening to not mesh very well. Software developers are getting laid off, people are finishing their degrees, and people are getting out of their other boot camps, so there's a lot of competition right now, especially since the lack of job postings at the moment, and a lot of software companies are on a hiring freeze. Now, if you watch this video 6 months to a year from now, this probably won't apply to you, so you probably won't have the same experience I've been having, but just this has kind of been my overall experience so far. Now I'll leave you with this. I'm exceptionally happy I took the time, money, and effort to learn how to code. I love writing code, and I'm very much looking forward to my first job into the industry, and I'm glad I made the decision to go to a coding bootcamp, and hopefully you'll feel the same way if you decide to do one as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and comment your experience if you ever attended a bootcamp, or just even any thoughts in general about coding bootcamps or not doing a coding bootcamp. I'm sure people are wondering what to do in this time. And then subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.